Great Nigerians and wonderful viewers, welcome to your darling station, The Living TV. We're back again today on your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. In today's Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at few topical heads. When Abia now clean, says President Jonathan. Tinubu to announce new minimum wage. Soludo offers scholarship to Anambra public schools. These are many more we'll be looking at today. As usual, in the house today, I have a wonderful analyst who are going to do justice to these topics. From my far left, I have St. Moses Obodna. St. Moses Obodna is a philosopher, precisely a logician and a practicing lawyer, also a human rights activist. St. Moses, welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you for having me.
After him, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu. Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu is a practicing lawyer here in Aba and also a public affairs analyst, also a security consultant. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator. Good day, viewers.
Today, I'm going to start with you, Barrister. Today, as of yesterday, the former First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. President Jonathan, visited the country home of our governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Chioma Oti. And in the visit, he poured a lot of encomiums on Alex Oti. He said, Abia is now clean, no longer smelling like before. And then, after that, he commended Oti for cleaning up the streets of Abia State. And then, with this statement, so many persons have been asking where did this woman visited during his visit to Oti's place. So I'm starting with you, Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu. The visit of Mrs. Jonathan yesterday, and he commended Alex Oti and said Abia is now clean. And then the area I wanted to look at is this about 100 days in Oti's office, and then talking about pouring of encomiums and psychophancy that has heralded the government of this state for so many years. And then, what is your take on this?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the former First Lady, like every Nigerian, truth be told, is entitled to her opinion. She has that right to express her opinion the way she sees it, irrespective of how erroneous or how misconceived that opinion might be. The fact is that she is entitled to her view, to her opinion. I say so advisedly because I don't know whether her visit was a state visit. I don't know whether it was an official visit. I don't know where to categorize the visit.
Or a private visit.
Because, I mean, she is a private individual now, like most other Nigerians. I agree that at a point in time, that was the First Lady. But as the Aba people would say, I've been getting before, no be property. And in visiting the government house, I don't know whether she bothered to pass through Aba.
He visited the governor's country home. I don't foresee, not government house.
Okay. I don't know where she passed through. I don't know whether she passed through some parts of Aba before she arrived at her conclusion, which I agree is binding only on her. It is her opinion, it's her view, except if other people adopt it. Because if she had bothered to pass through certain parts of Asa Road and other parts of Aba, even Opopo Junction and so on, I'm not sure she would have expressed that. And then when she said Abia is no longer smelling, I don't know the period she was taking into consideration. Much as she's entitled to her views, as a person also, I'm entitled to mine, and I dare say that this view is akin to the type of views she was known for expressing during the tenure of her husband, which invariably led to Jonathan falling out of favor with a whole lot of people, beginning with Rotimi Amechi, because I recall that it was her rift with Rotimi Amechi that estranged both her husband and Rotimi Amechi, that now forced Rotimi Amechi into the other camp, whereby he now used mobilized resources to work against her husband. So invariably, maybe you say that if she supports people, the people historically, going by precedent, have a way of not succeeding. So she's entitled to her views. I concede that. We are also entitled to our own views. Nobody can take that away from us.
All right, Moses Obonna, the First Lady said her maternal home is Omaya in Omaya North, and then he visited his brother, the governor. You know, that's why it was in Oti's country home and not at the government house. Now, let us, at the statement she made that Abia is now clean and no longer smelling, there have been a lot of reactions. They elicited a lot of reactions by the people of Ariaria and so on, and were asking, through where the chief visited before this, before concluding and coming up with this statement.
You see, Patience Jonathan, with due respect, is a lady we know. Like Council said, everybody knows whom Patience Jonathan is. I will advise that the people should allow Governor Oti to work. You see, the problem with politicians is this. When they begin to listen more than they see, they will begin to dance to the tune of the drummer in the bush without knowing the intention and the purpose. Jimmy Cliff, my friend, composed one song, says, action speaks louder than voice. He posited 3 ingredients that must be present. That action must be done. That action must be known. That action must be seen. When these 3 things are there, then you begin to see that there is reality on ground. I do not want anybody who comes into Abia to begin to compare Okezie's administration with Oti's administration. There is no way you can begin to do that comparison. Now, Okezie governed this state for 8 years. And when he inherited this state, everybody saw the state of this Abia before Okezie came in. And everybody will begin to see the state of Abia when Okezie left and Oti came in. Oti has just barely stayed 1 month. You cannot with a wave of hand to say Oti's administration and achievement has surpassed the administration of Okezie Baza. If anybody is doing that, that person is singing songs of sycophants. If Patient Jonathan comes into Abia to say, Abia is now clean, that means Aba, Arochu, Ohafia, Omaya, Umunoji, Owa.
All those places.
All those places. And it's no longer smelling, which means Abia has been smelling everywhere you go. Those are things that can irritate anybody or see her as somebody who merely came to incite the people or the past governor against the present governor, or to make the present governor to relax, believing that he has achieved everything he's supposed to achieve. He has not begun. It's just beginning. Let him, give him chance to do his work. Let us see him when he has concluded, and not seeing him now that he is journeying. Abia is a very terrible, long and wide journey to accomplish. It is not a 100 days affair. It is not a 1 month issue.
All right, Barrister, he said Alex Otti is also his mentor and supported them when they were in government. And that is why he has come to Abia State to visit him as his brother and a mentor, and also to share experience with him, having been in government at the upper echelon. And also, he said he has done very, very well, as if the 100 days in office is the mandate of Alex Otti. So what's your take on that?
I will just buy in on what St. Moses, my colleague, has said. It is too early in the day to begin to rate him, even on his own. How much more doing a comparative analysis? It's just too early in the day. If she is saying that she came to pay the governor a visit as a brother, as a friend, as a supporter, then she ought to have narrowed and limited her expressions, her views, her observations to that within that framework, but to have widened the scope and ventured, voyaged into officialdom to begin to make far-reaching conclusions, not based on anything, because, like Sir Moses said, 100 days in office is just
3 months.
It is just you haven't started. You haven't started. So to conclude that Abia is no longer smelling, you must have made a finding that Abia was smelling. Within which periods? No longer smelling, and then you do a comparative analysis and tell us, see where and where, look at the picture, look at the position before, look at the position presently. She should go near Ariad, like Sir Moses said. I said so. I don't know where and where she went to, because if she's coming from the Sambakwe Airport, she'll just do the federal highway to the express down to Ntega and then enter Mvose. She didn't pass through any of the places where refuse heaps are known to exist. And so, in fairness to her, her experience is limited, circumscribed, and narrow. It's like somebody who held the elephant by the leg, just a blind person, you held the elephant by the leg, and you now say that because you're holding the elephant is like a tree. That is just what I would liken it to.
And to add to that, we never heard that Governor Alex Otti took Patience Jenarta round
to anywhere other than
any project he has accomplished. We never heard that. So we do not know where the First Lady based her yardstick to begin to mention that Abia is no longer smelling.
And that everywhere has been cleaned up.
We don't want to go into whether. That's why we are very, very slow in criticizing election. When he will come under our hammer, when we give him enough chance and assume that he ought to have achieved something, what we are saying against him, if you ask me where I am criticizing him, is on labor. Sacking people, sacking people. Did Patience Jonathan invite those people that were sacked to ask the opinion at this hardship, at this time when people, even those who are working and making any salary?
She didn't bother to comment on that. She's only talking about refuse heap.
We don't want to.
So the achievement of the governor in 100 days has been only refuse heap.
If you even talk about
that's also an indictment. Assuming it is true, it's an indictment on the governor.
And ask the ASEPA people whether they are happy over what is happening. You see, we don't want anybody who is visiting Abia to begin to incite us against our governor, or to begin to incite the present administration against the past administration. We want to give Alex Oti, my brother, a chance to perform that thing he promised people at the rostrum that he was going to do. Give him chance to do it. When he fails, we will look him in the eye and say, Oga, you don't fail. If he doesn't, we will look him in the eye and say, Oga, you pass.
Okay, Barrister, the 17th Synod of the Anglican Church, the PDP through the publicity secretary, have called Alex Oti to order to apologize to the Anglican Communion for the advice they gave to him and how he reacted to that advice, asking him to stop sacking people and also build economic roots in Aba. That didn't go down well with him, and then they said he insulted the PDP, asked him to apologize. Are you aware of that?
I'm a member of the Diocese of Aba, okay. Anglican Communion.
Okay.
I was present at the synod.
Okay.
I'm an officer of the church. If I do not know these things, then I wonder who else would know. It might interest you to know that I'm an old boy of Ngwa High School. It might also interest you to know that Governor Alex Oti is an old boy of Ngwa High School. Precisely, he was 1 year my senior in Ngwa High School. It might also interest you to know that the present bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Aba, Right Reverend Sisi Uguzo, is not only an old boy of Ngwa High School, he's also senior to both of us, and presently the President General of the Old Boys Association. So when the bishop, on behalf of the diocese, was speaking, he spoke out of concern because he saw in the governor his old boy, whom he wants to succeed. So what was out of place to give advice? This is not the first time the church is taking a stand similar to this. In fact, at every synod, the Diocese of Aba, like every other diocese, during their synod, they take up one particular topical issue and use that opportunity to send the message across to usually the government. That is the time they talk to government. So if the church cannot speak truth to power, then I wonder who can do that. When I was, that was in about 2011, 2012, thereabout, when I was TC chairman of Aba South, the roads in Aba were bad. I was sitting down, I was present at the synod in dual capacity as a member of the church, as a knight of the church, and also as the TC chairman of Aba South local government. The bishop looked me in the eye and said, go and tell your boss, the governor, the roads in Aba are bad. The bishop gave an advice on what was to be done. People, the sycophants, said that from there, if it had been during the time of one other previous governor, that my sack would have been announced on radio, even while I was present at the synod. But I conveyed the message of the bishop to the governor. Governor T.A. Oji took it in good faith. Yes. He took it. That was when we had one bad spot at where we call our Hill. Within a few days, he mobilized resources and addressed that issue. Several places in Aba, because the bishop was saying, look, don't just wait for the rains to finish. Do some palliatives. And the governor listened. So what is wrong in the same bishop, the same diocese, the same church, doing what we have always done? We are not doing it during the time of Governor Ibazo. The church has also, on several occasions, put down its foot, looked the government in the eye, and advised. It is also worthy of note that the church does not only condemn, does not only criticize. Whenever the government gets a position right, takes a right decision or step, the church also comments and says, this is it. So look at what happened. You enter and you sack about 10,000 people in this present economy. And the church is saying, take a second look at this issue. Is that a bad advice? This is not the time that you will embark on this step. You are just entering. Sit down first. You just got into this room and you started dishing out. Sit down, which is exactly a similar thing that Sir Moses and I are saying. 100 days in office. And within that you are sacking. That means that by the time, if he stays 4 years, there will be no person left in the workforce of Abia State. Sit down first and then you'll be able to see clearly. Don't rely only on what you have heard.
Don't use your ears.
Don't use only your ears. Verify. You don't sack people before verifying. That is a wrong procedure. It means you have prejudged the matter. You verify before you sack. You don't sack people and then start saying, go and justify your position. No.
Okay.
That is wrong. So what the church did was to give an advice that sycophants misconceived, misconstrued, and advised the governor, and the governor is towing their line and going on a headlong position with the church, which I see as most unfortunate. Advice is, if you're giving an advice and you think it is it's not in order, you go back and advise yourself.
Jesus Christ asked his disciples, as wise as we ascribe Jesus to be, omnipresent, omniscient, all-knowing, he yet asked his disciples, whom do people say I am? If I am a governor today,
he didn't even stop there. After he got the answer, he now said, who do you?
These ones that are with me.
Do you even know that even the people that were gossiping to him also believe that what the people say he was is true? Because when they ask this person, they say, oh God, after listening to people at the camera, I looked at you and believed you are Elijah. If you are not Elijah, you are not
you're not Adam or you're Moses or whatever. Only one person got the honor, Peter.
He even told Peter that even the one he said was from the Holy Spirit.
Flesh and blood did not reveal it to you.
At all. You see,
meaning that flesh and blood is capable of
any governor who wants to succeed must listen to critics.
Please, Mo, before we go on break, I want you to take this headline. One of the things that the PDP frowned at in Alex Oti's comment is when he said that the bishop compelled others who were not willing to sign, and he compelled them as if the thing was not done.
I don't know if Sir Moses can answer that question. I think you would have rather referred to me. I said I'm an officer of the church, and I know the workings of the church. Before this position comes out, it is like something taken, a position taken from this position taken at this synod. The next position will be taken from this present synod till the next synod. Okay. And then it is written and circulated amongst those whose prerogative it is to see it and make impute. They vet it, they come back with corrections, suggestions, modifications, and finally they sign. It might interest you to know that the diocese has legal officers. The chancellor of the diocese is a senior advocate of Nigeria. The deputy chancellor is a high court judge. There are other legal officers, very senior, in addition to lawyers in other departments who are not necessarily in the legal position. The synod has a clerical secretary who is a very senior archdeacon. And when these people sit down to utter something, it is something done advisedly. So for somebody to begin to suggest that the bishop compel, it is most unfortunate. It's born out of crass ignorance on the part of I don't care, on the part of anybody who suggests or has suggested or intends to suggest that the bishop has compelled any person to append his signature. That it means the person is not does not know anything, doesn't know anything about how our church works, or indeed how other churches work. Because our position, the way we arrive at it, is very similar. This is a body registered under the laws of Nigeria. The procedure is stipulated. We have a constitution. So when we say something, it is not the bishop that has said it. It is the church. The bishop, because everybody cannot read that position at the same time. So if the bishop reads it out, one person, on behalf of every other person. So it's most unfortunate for people in government who ought to know to have taken such a position of ignorance. It's most, and indeed, like the PDP said, they owe the church an apology. I still insist that the government, I would want to believe that having risen to a certain high level in positions of authority, especially the private sector, that those in government today ought to know and would properly advise the state government presently constituted to do the needful. It has nothing to do with pride. They could have erred. They could have made mistakes.
But I thought that Alex Oti was there in the church. Did he attend? Or did he send somebody? If he was there, he ought to have known what the bishop said. The area he criticized him, because it wasn't a hearsay thing.
It is documented also.
Yes.
Physically and personally,
so
he wasn't present.
So for anybody to run back to
that
him
position,
and begin to say...
The statement, was made by the media that they come, but because the PDP believed that there is no how he would have made this statement without the consent of his principal.
If his principal also believed that his media aide made it without authorization or made it out of context or was misquoted, they should have come up with a clarification since, especially in the light of the controversy. But holding on to their high horse till now and rather trying to worsen the matter means that they are fully aware of what they are doing.
I want to advise. You know when this man at Imo, Ochika Wata, what was his name? Ochina Wata now.
Hakim.
Was it
Emeka?
Hakim now.
Hakim.
They gave him Ochina Wata.
Yes.
So because of the way he was then behaving, they now said, turned it to be Ochika Wata. I wouldn't want, my advice here would be that my governor shouldn't allow people to lure him into confronting the church.
To pitch him against the
church.
And in fact, like I said, it is the church that also partly produced him. Because Ngwa High School belongs to the Anglican Church.
This happened in Imo. When Ochina Wata was locked against the Roman Catholic Church. It didn't end well. So please, any media person who wants to release anything between the governor and the church, it doesn't matter the church, please should be very
circumspect and careful.
Very careful.
All right, our wonderful viewers, we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, issues of the moment will continue. Stay there and don't go away. We'll be back shortly. glad you're still there. This is still your station, Living Television. Remember, it's still your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. Away from what happened in Abia State, we are now looking at the president of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Comrade Festus Osifo, has hinted Nigerians on the plans by the president of this country, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of the new minimum wage that will be announced next week. He said the delay is as a result of Tinubu's travel outside the country. The Minister of Labour informed them that the discussion had gone so far and that the TUC should hang on. That was one of the major reasons for the meeting that was held last week and concerning the proposed strike or action by the Labour Congress. Now, talking about the minimum wage, let me also start with you, St. Moses. Talking about the minimum wage. Now, it's talking about the minimum wage for workers. What about the unemployed persons? What about others in various villages and just the workers?
You see, my worry in this country is people seeing the governed as fools. We are not fools. Each time government brings a policy that is harsh on the people, they run into minimum wage. And when you hear this minimum wage to workers, like you said, government workers, and when you talk about government workers, we are talking about federal workers. Not even the state, not even the local government. The moment that minimum wage may be 5,000, 6,000 is announced, addition, then the state will begin to argue whether they are able to pay or not. Because I have not seen any increment in wages in this country by the federal government that affects the state. Please, for Christ's sake, what we need here is not increment in salary. Because when you set this minimum wage, it will affect only a very, very little aspect of workers. Please use the money you told us you are deriving from the subsidy to go and do our refineries so that the price of fuel we have said it here. Anything that affects transportation, power, affects every facet of the economy. If you repair the refineries, I was watching the other day some overzealous policemen, civil defensemen, and the army people went to Ogoniland to destroy local fuel manufacturing.
Modular refineries.
Why? We have said instead of, since we can't repair our own, since we rely, why we are suffering is because we are refining abroad. Let us look at these people who are refining here. Look at the process they follow. Supervise them very well. Give them license so that the local consumption, at least, instead of making them what we call them bunkers, we make them official and make sure that supply of fuel and power in this country is somehow stable. If you do minimum wage for federal civil servants, we are going to face strike actions by the state government and local governments. Then the private sector, that is even in majority, will now, at the moment you increase this minimum wage, the sellers in the market, the price in the market will increase, and those who are not able to have their salaries increase will continue in perpetuity to suffer. Okay. I would have advised the labor to channel their demands not on salary increment, but allowances, making the roads, making the energy available, making the fuel available, making our markets and the products in the market available. But the situation you single out minimum wage, thinking you are making people happy, you are going to sadden us the more.
Thank you. Barrister, looking at this minimum wage issue, about 4 years ago, thereabout, they talked about 30,000 naira minimum wage to all the civil servants in the states and so on, I think, and also the local governments. Until today, that has not been implemented, at least I know of. Sure, Abia State here, though some states did, but it has not been. Now I'm talking about minimum wage again, that is not going to go round the entire nation. What's your take on this?
I support the view by St. Moses. I've taken that same view previously on this program, sister program in this station. That has always been my own position. Increment of wage is not a solution to the problem in any way. Rather, fixing of infrastructure. There are two cardinal areas. If you're able to shore up the supply of petrol and diesel such that it is most affordable and crash down the price, what happens? It will translate also to crashing of the price of transportation. When you do that, and you are able to also ensure steady power supply, what happens? All the people who have been buying petrol, diesel, and whatever to power their private generators, in turn, they wouldn't have to do that. What does it translate to? Translating to reduced cost of production. And what does that translate to? It's simple economics. It will translate to cheaper and more affordable goods and services. Yes. And when the people have affordable goods and services within their means, they wouldn't be agitating for any increment. It's simple. But I don't know why persistently those in positions of authority, especially at the federal, never want power to be stable.
They don't know anything.
They know. That is where you and I will now disagree. They know what to do. They do not want to do it. They know what to do. They do not want to do it. You are not producing yourself. You see people who are producing. Rather than get them together, set standards, operational standards for them, yardstick, give them task. You see your own capacity. We expect this from you. Rather than import, buy it from them.
Buy it from them.
You save yourself the cost of the item, cost, insurance, and freight that you would be paying for when you import. It looks so silly. We export crude oil. We get money from it. Then use that money that we have gotten from the crude oil to now buy refined petrol. In the crude oil, so much is there. Petrol is there, the premium motor spirit, you have the diesel, you have the kerosene, then you have the engine oil, you have the low power fuel oil, you have plastics. You also have liquefied petroleum gas. So much is in that thing.
You just gave away.
You just give it away and then import only one. And no nation can make progress like that. So why don't we now encourage local production? I said they know what to do, but it's because those in charge of the export and import are also in charge of setting the standard, and they ensure that the local production does not survive because they don't want competition.
Okay, shortly before we take the last destination, I want to come to you, please. You have to be very brief on this. If the NUC, the NLC, and the TUC are talking about minimum wage for just the workers, does that not spell selfishness on their side? Because every other Nigerian would have believed the NLC is talking about the Nigerians and not just about the workers.
If we want to allow equity to reign, who are the NLC? Who are the TUC? Who are these? The private sector. Where is their own union? Do we recognize their union so that their union can also have a say for them? What we have are individual unions for individual companies that are very little, that cannot do anything. And those who are large are also emerged into some of these national unions. But when there is minimum wage or increment in wage, it's only for the government workers. So that is why NLC, I have long stopped reading anything they say. Because the worst disappointment I had is this type. That the whole NLC, or whatever they call themselves, were with the federal government negotiating. When the same federal government went behind them and they pasted court order at their door. That was the highest insult. The same NLC, when the presidential tribunal was about to read the judgment, the same NLC woke up and declared the 2 days strike.
So that workers wouldn't be...
Warning strike.
Yes, so that workers wouldn't be on the street.
On the street.
So everybody, stay in your home.
As far as I'm concerned, what you are seeing is voice of Jacob, hand of Esau. If any Nigerian worker is getting up to listen to those people that call themselves NLC, that person is deceiving himself. The NLC, the TUC, is there another one?
NLC and TUC.
They are hand in glove with the government. They just go there and get their brown envelope and come out to think they are deceiving people. They will have one person they did not deceive, and that person is me.
Okay, before we go for the day, the governor of Anambra State, Soludo, on Thursday disclosed the reason for stopping payment of all fees, including tuition, in all public schools in Anambra State. According to the governor of the state, Soludo, he said no child in Anambra State is expected to pay any fee in all schools owned and managed by the Anambra State government, from nursery 1 and primary 1 to 6 to JSS 3. That is free. We call
free
that
education. Basic education.
It's not partial. It's free education. A lot of people have queried, why not make it to secondary school, the entire secondary school, and not just in JSS 3 and so on. But in so many states, we don't have such. Even in our state here, we don't have such. So, Council, what do you say about that?
I think, you see, on this program, when people get it right, we usually say they have gotten it right. When they step out of line, we also say, just like the Anglican Church, you have stepped out of line. We try to advise. We don't only criticize. This is a step in the right direction. Soludo, we have come down very hard on him previously. But this time around, he has done well. Those who say, why not do it up to the moon level, up to the sun level, full secondary school, they are not being fair. Before he got to this level, I'm sure he must have sat down with his lieutenants to do some analysis and come to a conclusion that it is possible, it is workable, because it's not only education that he has to face in his state. Security is there, agriculture is there, every other thing.
So before we continue, let's just look at the video clip. Let's see what happened and how he did it in Anambra State. Can we have the video clip, please?
Governor Soludo mentioned this in one of his various visits to the public schools in the state. He also promised to sanitize the education system and levies and charges in the
system. And so far as I am on this chair, as governor of Anambra, now public school owned by government and run by government. What enough from nursery to primary 6 to JSS 3. Nobody, none of them will be required under any circumstance to pay 1 kobo.
Yes.
You can just
yes.
Say nobody,
nothing,
whatever.
The governor, in fact,
the tuition.
On this score alone, Soludo should be celebrated. It is a wake-up call to other governors. If you mentioned something about Abia State, in a place like Abia State, most of our children, especially at this low level of primary up to early secondary, are now in private schools.
Yes.
So I would want to believe that it would not be impossible in almost all the states to have free education up to JS3 level. It is something that other states should emulate. It's not going to be impossible. It is on record that, particularly in the southern part of the country, the boy child is fast ceasing to be in schools. Go to any school now, the average class, you would see predominantly girls. The girls have taken over. The boy child is now on Aba Owerri Road, chasing after vehicles, hustling to sell cashew, polish, rat poison, and what have you to vehicles. In addition to those that have insisted they must get into Yahoo, the boy child now wants to make money at all costs. Education is now a secondary consideration. So this is a way of getting the boy child back into the classroom. Those who insist on patronizing private institutions, let them go ahead to patronize. But for the public schools, it is commendable. Do not forget that when you are paying tax, you pay education levy. In addition to the grant given for universal basic education that comes from the federal government, have the states accounted for all this? That's why I said that I would want to believe, and I'm very sure that Soludo must have taken all these things into consideration and come to a realization that it is very, very, very possible to fund free education for children up to that level before he implemented it. And he is putting it to good use. Instead of diverting it, that money being, the tax being paid as education levy by adults, the money being sent from the federal government allocation as for universal basic education, diverting it to other things. Use it for the purpose for which it is meant.
All right.
I will get there.
All right. So, talking about this free education, we know in Abia State almost all the schools are gradually being handed over back to the missionaries who started them. You know, take for instance Sangba High School here and so many other schools. There is one at also here. Then at what point do you think Abia will think about having free education?
You see, my worry is what forms the priorities of those in government. You see, I don't know, in this country or in this state, it's a place, if you say, go and clean that toilet, it is smelling. The first thing they do is to look at who says it.
Rather than what you have said.
Nobody is interested in looking at whether the toilet is dirty or smelling. If you come from a perceived opposition, they say that man is criticizing us.
Happened there.
Happened there. They were there, they couldn't clean the toilet. Now that we are here, he's crying over the toilet they abandoned. You see,
God, leave the toilet, let it remain like that.
I was there when I was declared free. Chakonde declared free education. He didn't just say free education, he said free and compulsory education. If Soludo wants to make this, his free education, very fruitful, he should add this word I have added now, compulsory. If you don't make it compulsory, what my friend has said here, that is happening at Abu Road.
You see them, go to the railway line, you see them, they say, rat poison.
Now the thing is free. Now the thing is free. And everything that is free is even the papa and mama will no longer bother. My friend, go and get something happen there. So, Soludo, I will advise, will add the word compulsory. I remember when the regime of Ikemwa
Yes, Ikemosu.
when we had
chasing children off the streets and back to the
war
schools.
against indiscipline. I advised Okezi Ibazu when he was the governor. What we need here is, Alex Oti, I know you will be hearing us. If you declare free education from primary school to the whole of the secondary school, you are not losing any much, because I know that the amount they pay at the primary schools and the secondary schools are not up to 50%, 30% what people at the private schools pay.
That's true.
So you are not losing much. Rather, what you are achieving is fair. If you make it free, compulsory, primary and secondary education, do you know what you will achieve? Criminality will go down. Yes. Because all these indigents, who my colleague says are selling rat poison, you didn't add cockroach and the mosquito.
You see, you see what I heard you say.
They are here to ache out food, because they are not even thinking about going to school because they cannot afford it, except you make it free. At the moment you make it free, there will no longer be any reason for them to sell rat and cockroach poison during school hours. And another thing I think is missing is school education, supervisors of education.
Yes.
I don't know if they are still there.
We have one, the Zonal Inspectorate of Education, the office close to this place.
No, I know the office.
I don't know whether they have anybody in it.
Do you also know what is missing now? Local government auditors, school auditors. Those things are missing because schools, local government, payment of salaries, everything are now being done on the pages of newspaper. You see somebody who is not paid will be shouting that, meeting you on the street, complaining that he is not paid. Put him on television. He will tell you that the governor has paid. Look at the other day, the NLC chairman in Abia State was saying that the governor has completed the promise he made in payment of salaries. When people came here crying that even the 10,000 naira that is being paid has not been paid. You see, let us stop psychophancy. Let us tell the governor what is happening in the field so that he will know where he is doing right and where he is having it wrong. I think in Abia State, if Governor Alex Oti wants to run free education, and in fact, if he wants me to advise him, it ought to be free and compulsory education. He will do that perfectly. There are the people we call auxiliary teachers, people who don't have anything to do, who are trained teachers, who can come and teach on half salaries. You understand? You recruit them as auxiliary teachers to assist in teaching our people. Soludo, I doff my hat for you, but I want you to extend it to which bursary?
I said compulsory.
Compulsory and the SS3.
But let us start by commending him.
Yes,
Let's start by commending. He has done Soludo, you have my kudos.
Yeah.
Finally,
you have
before
done well.
Barrister, looking at this, in talking about free education, if that should extend to Abia State, with the level of dilapidation of public schools in Abia State and handing over of schools to the then churches and so on, how would Abians benefit, assuming that opportunity comes?
Clearly, like I said earlier, that provision is not for private use. It is for public use. I attended public schools. My parents were teachers. My father was a headmaster. My mom was a principal. I attended public schools, and I am who I am today. People seem to be taking their children out of public schools to private schools because they think that in those days strike action kept children out of school. And then it is now, Nigerians like fashionable and trendy things. They think it is trendy. Yes. Parents tell you, I put my child in do you know how much I pay for that school? 200,000 naira a term. I'm not impressed. That's the truth of the matter. I'm not impressed by the volume, the amount you pay for your child in any school. I am impressed by the quality of teachers. First, the teachers. Secondly, the facility now present in such institution. So, whatever the government is going to do will be for the public institutions. When that begins to happen, you might now see a reverse osmosis, whereby the children, their parents will now start bringing them out from private schools back to public schools, because the public schools now have qualified teachers, well-trained, well-motivated, and then the facilities, which is why they took the children out to the private schools in the first place. So if you have them in the public schools and it is free, you see the children coming back there. So go ahead with your advice, sir, to the governor of Abia State. I would want to believe that some of his media people would be listening in on this program. Tell him that that is also what we are advising. If he emulates from Soludo the good things that Soludo has done, there's nothing wrong with it.
See, the problem we have are the sycophants who goes to advise the governor. I went to court one day. I saw that the court we went at Owerenda, 2 adjoining rooms. The judges were on the other side. All of us were at the corridor. If they mention your case, you come in.
Court.
I said, what happened? I said, there's no money to. I said, okay, magistrate. That was a customary court. Chairman, what will we do? Any case that comes here, the lawyer will pay 10,000. I started by bringing out my own 10,000 from the litigants.
If I'm there, I'll quarrel with you.
Wait now.
If I am there,
do you know the
Moses, I will quarrel with you.
Thank God that he was not there.
If I am there, I will quarrel with you.
Good thing, I had the lawyers there who had the same heart I have.
Very wrong.
We must
very wrong
wait
heart.
Now. You are saying very wrong. That is why we are where we are.
Very wrong heart.
Because we have left everything in the care of government. The same father who will go out to pay 200. Do you know a mother told me the other day that she paid 700.
And what happens to the filing fees paid by the litigants?
Wait now.
We have very heavy filing fees.
Do you know what happens?
What happens?
By the next time,
allow the judiciary to be self-accounting.
By the
if
time
you allow the judiciary to be self-accounting,
wait,
that's already
let
a
me
job.
finish.
You would
Let
no,
me
what with that
finish.
one?
He has the floor.
I believe.
Okay, you have protected him.
Yes, I believe in progressive things. By the time I went to that court again, that hall has been demolished and joined. The witness boxes have been built by the chairman over the little money he was collecting. Do you know, at the time he was about finishing it, people like this man wrote a petition to the judiciary that the man, the chairman of the court, was, compelling litigants to pay money. That court has remained where
you stopped it at the level where you.
Listen, let me tell you. There is what we call social responsibility of everybody, including you, including the market people. I do not believe, I told the past government, that it is government that should build Milverton Road. When we have all the transport companies there who do not even pay tax. And you know, if any of those companies put a sand on that road, these psychopaths who want contracts will go to the government and say, why should the company build the road? The time I was at my office at St. Michael's, you remember when we could hardly get to your church on St. Michael's. One day I gathered the whole people at that St. Michael's. I said, let us at least have a way to park our vehicles along that. They say, God, we tried it, they arrested us. I say, I am here now. Any police that comes here, or government officer that comes here, tell them it is St. Moses. We started it. Anglican Church was going to do their synod that time. They joined us. We repaired that road before Kezibazo came in and took over. You see, what I want to say about the school we are talking about, the dilapidation, before these schools were in the state they were, we had a colonial government, we had civilian government, we had military government. These schools were not like that. We had people who will build seats.
I hope I will be allowed to make some clarification regarding my.
Because of our time.
But I'll do it. I'll do it. Yes, sir. I'll do it very quickly. If he could also summarize.
What we call PTA.
Papa to Association.
Good. Who will gather the parents of the school, put a kind of levy or appeal to them to help to rebuild the school. Yes. Do it today. They will report the principal or the headmaster that is doing levy. They will tell you that teachers are collecting tissues from the students. Teachers are doing this. And when you stop, they will say the school is dirty. And Jesus wept. If you won't give, don't put your eyes there.
Breathe.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, please.
In the case of the court, it is different. And I thought he ought to know the position. The Nigerian Bar Association realized, we used to do what he just said. It was being done until we came to a discovery that in many instances, some of those courts in dilapidated positions had been renovated on paper. Somebody somewhere had been busy in the past, taking credit for what he didn't do. And so the NBA started discouraging a situation where litigants pay heavy filing fees, very heavy. Part of the filing fees being paid by litigants is supposed to be used to maintain the court. It is not being done. After paying it, you compel. I have nothing against free will donation when people decide to do it. But the situation where you give it as a condition, that is where I want. That's why I said, if I had been present, I would have quarreled. I'm not against corporate social responsibility or anything by anybody. But do not compel people to do it. If people, well-meaning individuals, now get up to say, this court is in this position, I don't like it, I am doing so. We still do it till tomorrow. But a situation where litigants are compelled to execute it at the pains of either their case is not proceeding because they have not paid, I quarrel with that.
I wish we had time. You will introduce this one now.
Well, we can
will introduce it so that the same person he is beating is the same person who is paying heavily to the police to arrest his brother for doing nothing.
Like they arrested my cousin yesterday.
He has not opposed. Listen, let me tell you. As far as this state is concerned, if we want to get it right, we must assist the government.
I agree.
All right,
but it has to be voluntary. It must be voluntary. Any form of compulsion is not okay by me, and I will stand against
this. This is where we are drawing the curtain for today. If it must work out, if things must be in order in this state, we must help the government
voluntarily. Yes, I agree.
Not be compelled to do it. It will come from your hand.
Without time, which government can collect tax? I do not know that government. Go ahead.
All right, wonderful viewer, that is where we are drawing the curtain for today. I am very glad and happy that you stayed with us all through this time, and I'm also sure you listened to all our analysts today, and I'm also sure you've learned one or two things in today's program. As usual, having said so, from my far left, I have St. Moses Obona. St. Moses, we're pleased to have you.
Always add that. They're the Son of God.
I know I'm the Son of God.
Thank you the immediate younger brother of Jesus Christ.
Please, the immediate younger brother of Jesus Christ, St. Moses.
Yes.
Yeah, we are pleased to have you here today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm Barrister Chukwuemeka Wong. We are very pleased to have you here.
Thank you, moderator, and viewers. Bye. See you some other time.
Right, this is UN Command Chineduma DLS signing off for today. Keep watching other programs of Living TV. We'll keep coming your way from time to time. Bye for now.